The expectations of the modern superstar player are laughable compared to years past.
No, they're better athletes now, though, remember?
Nowadays, you don't even have to play defense to be praised by the masses. That's how low the bar is.
Yep.
Last season, there were 9 players who earned MVP votes, and not a single one of them earned an all-defensive selection.
Wow.
30 years before that.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. Had a request to check out this Johnny Arnett video. It's actually, I'm glad I got the request because this one was not on my radar. It's titled Using Stupid Gen Z Logic Against Their Era. And, you know, I don't know what it was, but I looked at it and I kept moving on. And I didn't actually really think about it until I got that request from one of my subscribers here and said it was right up my alley. So, you know, I'm a Gen X guy, and let's see, Gen Z should be interesting. So using stupid Gen Z logic against their era. I don't even want to do a long intro on this one because I want to know what this is about. I have some theories, and if my theories are correct, this should probably be a funny video from Mr. Arnett. So, as I always do, I'm linking the original video down below in the description. So if you want to check out Johnny's channel and you haven't done it yet, I think I've covered about a dozen of his videos at this point. The link is down there for you. If you want to watch this video without my commentary, feel free. The link is down there. And if you want to subscribe to his channel, it's there for you, okay? Johnny, if you're watching this one, what's up, my brother? I hope you're doing well. Let's allow me to introduce you to the greatest basketball YouTube video introduction of all time, or intro. And here it goes. How does it look so smooth?
As an old school basketball fan, I hear criticisms against past eras all the time, as guys like Anthony Edwards say they were not skilled, guys like JJ Redick call them plumbers and firemen, and general Gen Z fans will say that they were not athletic. The level of ignorance always leaves me dumbfounded, because it's always clear that they have no idea what they're talking about. Like when this guy on X tried to mock this white dude defending Michael Jordan, when he said that this shot would be snatched by anyone that is not an autistic janitor.
Really?
Obviously, I had to educate him and let him know that this was Brent freaking Barry.
Yeah, no kidding.
Who famously won the NBA dunk contest by dunking from the free throw line with his warm-up jacket still on.
Yeah, that's freaking janitor, right?
Just one of many examples of how they will make wild critiques without knowledge. This whole thing has become so exhausting, because no matter how many times we debunk these goofy narratives, the criticisms still persist. Usually, I play defense on this topic, but this time I'm playing offense. And I'm making the point that this era isn't truly the standard of skill and athleticism like they act like it is.
Let's go.
First off, this era is as reliable as a McDonald's ice cream machine. Guys are loading.
It is. The damn thing is always down, or it's not available due to cleaning or needs repair. Man, the truth is they just don't want to make the ice cream. Talk to anybody who works at McDonald's. They don't want to do it. They're too damn busy. So they just tell the customers, no ice cream right now.
Managing with extreme frequency, trying to manage their health and keep themselves in the best shape possible for the games that matter the most. And even with that being the case, superstar players like Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, and Kawhi Leonard struggle to remain healthy. How are you going to brag about this era, talking about modern medicine and how the general athlete has evolved, when many of them have the durability of a crispy Dorito? Last season, only 17 players played in all 82 games, and 30 years before that, that number was 47. Beyond simply the durability, look at the physical fitness. Guys like Luka Doncic, James Harden, and Zion Williamson are constantly seeing their weight fluctuate.
Yeah.
These are supposed to be some of the greatest
And then not, oh my God, Harden. I mean, there are players that are so skinny right now that wouldn't have lasted a week in the 80s or 90s because of injury, because they would have got thrown down on the ground once or fouled too hard once, and that's it. A bone would have broken. Kevin Durant, I'm looking at you. Booker, since you're on the same team, I'm looking at you. Even Wemby right now, and I'm a big fan of Wemby, but he would have to put on like 50 pounds if he were to play in the 90s or the 80s. It's just fact. There's no way around it. And it's just to protect themselves from injury. So we have people who are fat like this, or we have people who are like so paper thin that they refuse to lift any weights, like Kevin Durant, that just couldn't have cut it back in the day. Not to say he's not he would have been a great player no matter what, but he wouldn't have been able to physically cut it because he would have been injured all the time. And even in this era, the guy's injured all the time. Hell, he's injured right now. He missed the in-season tournament because he was injured. Nothing new.
Athletes in the world. And in most off seasons, it seems like they spend more time in the pantry than in the weight room. It's not only the physical fitness, but it's also the overall athleticism, or lack thereof. Look at the two best players in the game today.
Reeves really did that. Dude.
Or lack thereof.
Dude. Low country, LeBron is having a bad impact on you. You're not that guy yet. You don't do this right now. You're not him.
Look at the two best players in the game today, Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic.
Yeah, not a fiber of muscle on their body. And I'm a big fan of both of these guys. There's not an ounce of muscle on their body.
The Joker has no muscle definition whatsoever and is far from what you call peak athletic performance.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic also has almost no muscular definition at all.
Shut up, Johnny. They're faster, stronger. They jump higher. They're whatever. Fucking bullshit.
His vertical leap is nothing impressive, and he's painfully slow. 30 years earlier, the best players in the game were guys like Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Karl Malone.
Look at those guns.
Large, strong, and athletic freaks who you would never accuse of skipping a workout. Clearly, those old school players couldn't survive in this modern era, because how would they ever keep up with this blistering speed? Speaking of which, Kyle Anderson is a 6'9" player, and honestly, he might be the slowest.
Look around. There's no muscle anywhere. LeBron made up for it because he's got like muscles on top of muscles right now. Nobody else in the league has any.
Forward in NBA history. Yet he's extremely effective in this modern NBA of super athletes.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Uh-huh.
Steph Curry is the only unanimous MVP in NBA history, and he's so athletic that he struggles to dunk a basketball.
Hey.
Rudy Gobert.
No, it's true, though. It's true. I love Steph, but man, dude, yeah.
Is the reigning defensive player of the year, and one of the most impactful players in the modern game.
I guess.
And that's even with the fact that he can't dribble.
No.
And has basically no bag on offense.
No, he's slow as a turtle. He can't dribble. I'm not a fan. You guys, I'm not a fan. I might be in a minority on this one with him. I am not a fan of his. I don't believe in him.
Several months ago, young fans were saying we're done with the 90s.
Yeah, how'd that
like
work
a bunch
out?
of mindless sheep. And were claiming en masse that Michael Jordan had no left hand.
Yeah.
That was quickly debunked by people who actually know basketball.
Yep.
But the funniest part is that they have the nerve to say this while one of the highest paid players in NBA history and the guy who is the finals MVP in this modern league is a player who in fact has no left hand. Look at this right here. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure there's layup drills out there just like this from Michael Jordan. I'm sure they'll...
My 42-year-old left is 10 times better than this right now. Don't get me wrong. JB's going to school my ass and on the basketball court, but my left hand is better than his. And that's shocking because he's really good.
Will turn up on YouTube eventually.
Wow.
How about this?
Dude, make the video, Johnny. I'll help pump it. JB can't go left.
The best shot blocking perimeter player in the NBA today is Derek White, and he's a 6'4" player. He's literally 3 inches shorter than the average NBA player in today's league. Yet he's regularly hosting block parties due to the incompetence of the current offensive players. In last year's playoffs, the guy who was supposed to be the next Michael Jordan and the next Kobe Bryant couldn't even get past half court in the second half of games due to how much his conditioning and stamina sucked.
Yep. Yeah, because for one series, he actually had to play some solid defense on a guy named Kyrie Irving, and he couldn't keep up. He used all of his energy on the defensive end, and he had nothing left on the offensive end. Welcome to the 90s. Welcome to the 80s. That's how it was. You used 80% of, no, I'm lying. You used 70% of your energy on defense. You only had 30% left, so your conditioning better be up to par. And especially then, because they weren't chucking threes, that 30% of energy, you need to drive to the basket and take that contact, which takes the wind out of you and reduces your energy level. And shoot, you got a long way to go.
Yeah, this is a guy who said that Michael Jordan couldn't guard him.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how much MJ would struggle to contain a guy with this kind of motor.
I know. Could you imagine him trying to actually defend Michael Jordan? First of all, would fail miserably, but then he'd have no energy left, and Jordan would just shut him down on the defensive end because it would be nothing. All Ant would have left energy-wise is to just do step-back threes.
Go easy on him, Anthony. I can't blame him for his lack of stamina when the modern league sets the bar so low. Last season, not a single player averaged at least 38 minutes per game.
Yeah.
30 years before that, there was 10 players who averaged above 38. Here's something else to consider. The expectations of the modern superstar player are laughable compared to years past.
No, they're better athletes now, though, remember?
Nowadays, you don't even have to play defense to be praised by the masses. That's how low the bar is.
Yep.
Last season, there were 9 players who earned MVP votes, and not a single one of them earned an all-defensive selection.
Wow.
30 years before that, 4 out of the top 6 MVP vote getters were also on the NBA's all-defense team.
Oh, yeah, this is the year Jordan was playing baseball. Yeah, Hakeem, Admiral, Pip, Shaq in 94. Okay. Patrick Ewing. Yeah, well, yeah, he went to the finals that year. And GP. Wow. Now I'm glad to see Gary Payton up there at number 6. Yeah. I'm sorry that I got distracted. Great, one of the greatest defenders ever. One of the greatest. Arguable. But in his prime, one of the greatest. Ewing, one of the great. Yeah. These guys are all fantastic defenders.
Back then, star players were good enough to do both.
Uh-huh.
You know what else is raising the bar in the modern NBA? Yep, you guessed it. Nepotism.
Oh.
The standard for the modern pro is so high that Giannis's older brother, Damian Lillard's cousin, Steph Curry's brother-in-law, and LeBron's son can all take up roster spots with their greatness.
Yeah.
Further putting the old heads to shame.
Yep.
Guys nowadays
and they said the 90s were watered down. Okay. What about now?
So insanely skilled that they're regularly incorporating flopping into their game.
Hey, man, flopping's in 2K. So, yeah, man, it's officially a part of the game.
As a way to bail themselves out and get unearned trips to the free throw line.
It's embarrassing.
Guys are so skilled in the modern league that the NBA has allowed them to have 2 to 3 extra steps just to make scoring that much easier.
Yeah, you can't do a double step back. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 steps. God.
After all, nothing emphasizes a guy's deep bag quite like incredibly weak rules. You guys get the point. The same stupid logic that condemns players from previous generations can easily be done to condemn this current generation. You might assume that the entirety of this video is going to be negative and sarcastic, and the point is just one major screw you to the fans and the players of this era.
I'm loving this video.
But that's actually not my ultimate point. My closing point is that all of this is exactly what makes the game of basketball so beautiful. In reality, guys like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Nikola Jokic, and Luka Doncic are all the same type of athlete, in the sense that nothing about them is particularly jaw-dropping from a pure athleticism standpoint. but it's their timeless skills and their attention to detail that separates them from the rest of the crowd.
I know, because if you're gonna call, a Brent Barry or like Larry Bird a plumber or whatever because they look a certain, they look a certain way. Well, yeah, this guy right here, definitely a plumber. What's his name? Jokic, definitely a plumber. There's a lot of guys out there right now that look the part. But it's funny to just look back with the grainy footage of the 80s and 90s and be like, yeah, that guy's a freaking plumber. And they don't even know who it is. Eventually, someone's going to call Larry Bird a plumber. He's already taken so much disrespect from the current gen. It's disgusting. But someone's not going to recognize him one day and just be like, yeah, look at this plumber shooting jumpers. They sucked back then.
The same things that made them special back then would make them special now. And the same things that make them special now would make them special back then. Basketball isn't a sport that simply rewards brute strength and raw speed, but it's an art form
so
that's understood and mastered by the best basketball minds within the league.
Mm-hmm.
If it simply rewarded freakish athleticism, then guys like Shannon Brown, Gerald Green, and Darrell Griffith would be some of the greatest players of all time.
Yep.
There's certain things you have to have as a player to reach that level. And personally, that's the most frustrating thing about the casual fans who make these blanket criticisms of entire eras. Because they're missing the nuance of what makes the game so unique.
Yep.
The problem with modern basketball discourse is that it's become overrun by fanboys who like their favorite player more than they like the game itself.
Yes, and their strategy for promoting their favorite players now is no longer promoting their favorite player by talking about how great that say you got LeBron James on here. Instead of talking about how great LeBron James is, man, LeBron did this, LeBron did that, blah, 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 blah. Their strategy now is to go, they don't talk about LeBron. They talk about anybody he's being compared to. So they'll trash Kobe. They'll trash MJ. Trash all the people from previous eras and use all that energy just to beat everyone else down, hoping that naturally their favorite player rises above. You know what I mean? It's like a political game, and it's weird, and I don't enjoy it. If you like somebody, talk about how great they are. You see how many Michael Jordan reactions I do on my channel? The reason is because I think he's the greatest basketball player, and I'm here to show you why. That's all it is. That's the way it should be done. You're great. Show your greatness. You don't have to beat anybody else down, because everybody will notice if your favorite player is really that great. Everyone will see it.
In their minds, honest and genuine takes are not the priority, but rather it's whatever supports the guy that they're partial to. There isn't necessarily anything inherently wrong with that, but it certainly makes the entire discourse less about the nuanced aspects of the game, which is what hardcore fans like myself are here to talk about. As usual, the truth lies somewhere.
What is this footage from, you guys? What is this? Spider-Man, and it's a hype up New York Knicks game. What is this?
In the objective middle. For example, if you took a guy like Steph Curry and dropped him in the 1980s, there would be pros and there would be cons. On one hand, he would struggle to create space with his ball handling, seeing how guys could hand check him and make it difficult for him to fully utilize his dribbling skills, due to the fact that he's always being crowded by the defender. On the other hand, a player who could pull up from 30 feet out and hit that shot regularly was basically unheard of in that era. And for that reason, he would be like a force of nature that defenses would have to adapt to league-wide.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of that, Johnny, because what I think would make him so deadly is, think about Reggie Miller, but twice the speed, but much shorter. So there's a little bit of a give and take here. But his quickness would allow him to go through all these screens in the mid-range and find a gap, as long as he had a good point guard who can get him the ball, in a timely manner, like Mark Jackson used to do for Reggie Miller, like exactly like this. Get him the ball at the right time as he's coming off of screens. He would be a mid-range assassin in any era, as long as the coach was willing to run a strategy for him. treat him exactly how we treated Reggie Miller and Ray Allen, and this dude would be just as successful. He'd struggle on the defensive end a lot though, and that's always what I've thought of. But to be fair, Reggie wasn't the best defender, and Ray Allen also wasn't the best defender. But I think this would be a new low, for Steph. So would he compensate with his offense? I actually do believe he would. I believe he'd be out there pumping out like 25 to 30 a game, but he'd be a defensive liability, kind of like Steve Nash was for our Suns.
To put it simply, the conversation is more complex than simply saying he would kill it or that he would be utterly destroyed by that era.
No, it's complicated. It's complicated. It's a positive negative. I feel like the positive would outweigh the negative, but it's not all positive and it's not all negative. So I see exactly what you mean, because that's how everyone is. Everyone is just so black and white now.
For those of you who made it to the end of this video, I'm hoping that this is your takeaway. As long as I'll run this channel, my goal will always be to rein the fanboys back in and keep the conversation about the thing I love the most.
Yep.
The actual basketball.
Right.
My mission will always be to create a space where hoop nerds can gather and talk about the game honestly, because unfortunately, those spaces are seemingly becoming rarer and rarer as time goes on.
And Johnny, that video, that footage hits differently now that I saw your video about how Kevin McHale was injured that whole year. And he's the one guarding Magic on that awesome skyhook. That hits a little different now. Thank you. Oh, and that was the end of the video. Oh, man. Good stuff, dude. Good stuff. That was fun. You basically took the exact... Okay, no. I guess I read the title wrong on this video, because your title explains it perfectly. Using stupid Gen Z logic against their era. And you literally... Yeah, you approached it the exact same way that they approach it. In an all or nothing... a black and white, a left and right, whatever mentality of just like it's all this or it's all that, and there's nothing in between to debate about. And yeah, that's exactly what it would look like if you did it. So that was fun. That was fun to piggyback on. And I hope there's a future where people can meet in the middle a little more, because it's not just with sports, it's with everything I see in society right now. Everyone is like an extremist of one thing or another on every topic, and no one's listening to each other, and no one's realizing that like two things can be right at the same time, meaning that meeting in the middle would be the beneficial approach to moving forward and building something together. I really hope a lot of people wake up eventually and realize how divided we've become and how unhealthy it is. And I didn't mean to go on this rant, but it's something that's been bothering me for a very long time. A little while back, it was a video from Johnny Arnett. John, if you're listening to this, awesome. Me and you had a totally different take, and we totally disagreed on what happened in that Suns and Lakers series when Kobe shot the ball only 3 times in the second half. Now, what's cool about Johnny Arnett is I know he's more like me on this, where I could say, hey, Johnny, I don't agree, and I see your points. Here's my perspective. And it doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It means that we don't have a fundamental agreement on this, but more than likely, somewhere between my perspective and his perspective lies the truth. And it's cool to see in the comments, like right away, he comes in and he's making a positive comment, and I'm giving him a positive comment too, even though we're still disagreeing. It's a conversation, it's an adult gentleman conversation, and we don't have to be like, screw you, Johnny, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you're stupid, your channel's stupid. We don't have to resort to that. People disagree. When I was younger, man, we all disagreed all the time. That's what made life interesting. We didn't have to burn down a building because we didn't agree with what color the paint was on the wall. It was just different back then. It was something to celebrate to disagree on something, because that means we have a discussion now. Because if we all just agree on everything and we're all just in an echo chamber, There's nothing interesting about having a conversation. Everyone thinks the same. They're all drinking the same punch. All right, I'm done, everybody. Sorry. The philosopher in me comes out sometimes in these videos, and I'm going to put a plug in it for now. But, I mean, let's just be real. Throw it in the comments if you want. We can have a conversation about it. Have you guys noticed this too? You know, it's not just with sports. It's not just with politics. It's not just in what type of smartphone that we like. Everything has become an extremist position. Everyone has an extremist position. You know, Androids suck. Apple's awesome. No, Apple's crap. They can't do crap that my phone can do. Like, maybe both are good, and they're both good for different people. I'm out, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the comments. Should be a spicy one. All right. Peace out.